All right, welcome to The Boost, conversations with people promoting mental health. And I'm here with my co-host, Sarah Way. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Good. I forgot to say my name. I'm Steve Turney. But we've been doing 60 of these now. So
yes. People know who you are. Your name is, people just know, they know your face.
yeah. And if you don't know, now you know. I'm Steve. Good to see you. And we have a fabulous guest. We're going to keep it a surprise for a second, even though you can see it on the link that you just clicked on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. But I wanted to talk about real quickly with you because you're from Mental Health America of the Mid-South,
Yes.
an organization near and dear to my heart and one that has benefited my life greatly. One way is the QPR training that I went through yesterday. Did it on my lunch break, 60 minutes, and walked away so much more informed about how to talk about signs of suicide. And I have one big takeaway I'll share, but if you wouldn't mind to just share a little bit about that program, because you do it a couple times a month.
Yeah, so it is a training that we do. We're doing it twice a month now, which is awesome, and people can do it on their lunch break. So thanks for joining us. It was really great to have you. But at MHA, everything we do is training, focus, and education, because education is like the most important thing when you're trying to figure out things about mental health. Like educating yourself is that number one key, and even for helping others. And so what you joined us for, that's intervening in crisis. So it's question, persuade, refer. So knowing how to ask the questions. And as you know, as you saw in that training, it's really hard to even say the word suicide. People struggle to even say that word out loud. And part of that training is saying the word out loud and knowing how to ask that question. What was your main takeaway that you were saying?
Well, I think my main takeaway was the need or ability to talk about it and not be afraid that my talking about it might push somebody who is ideating about dying by suicide toward that end result. So,
Yes.
and you know, I mean, the mental health marketing conference that I run is all about connecting awareness with access and overcoming stigma. And it was so insightful and I was really drawn into it was great. It was really a great, you don't have to be a clinician or anything, but it's a really great presentation. And I sat there realizing there is still this stigma within maybe myself. And some of that is just my own ignorance. Like there's a lot of information on social media. You know, there's a lot of information. That doesn't mean the quantity of that information is quality information. But I sat there for 60 minutes and I thought, oh, I'm getting directed on what to do. And in the pre-test I took, they surveyed my feelings and thoughts about things. And I literally walked away in the post-test more confident.
Yeah, I feel like it actually gives you some tools to use, and you might have these like preconceived ideas that you're like, okay, if I have a friend that I know is struggling, and if I ask them if they're thinking of killing themselves, one, that's a really hard thing to ask, and two, I'm like, maybe that'll put that in their head, like maybe they will think that, and then it's on me if something happens, and that's totally not true. Like at MHA, like part of that research-based, evidence-based teaching is that actually when you ask that question, the chances are that it will help and that it actually will have better outcomes. And so when you have that thought in your mind, it's better to ask the question than to later down the road realize that you didn't ask the question that you should have.
Yeah, isn't that like a universal
That's a very sad
insight?
Feeling to have.
Yeah. How can people connect to these courses through MHA?
Yeah, so honestly, our website, which is awesome, you guys are helping us with too at Turn Productions.
So stoked about that.
MHAmidsouth.com or .org has all of our trainings will be posted, so you can sign up. And we have an online learning platform, so folks can go take a QPR and come and join us.
Yeah, we are working to transform that website just to make it as connected as possible out into the world. So that's fun.
We appreciate it.
Rewarding work. Well, we have somebody coming up who is also an antidote to loneliness and connecting people through kindness with really organic work that has turned into a national movement. We'll talk about some of the impact she's having. We'll be right back with Ashley Robyn after this. All right, we're back on The Boost, and we are here with Ashley Robyn, who has been a delight to talk with already. It's good to see you. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are amazing.
Oh, this is going to be such.
We're glad to have you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, totally. What a delightful intro. We've been enjoying ourselves, just having conversation. It's so natural. We were just talking about how none of us here on these couches are mental health professionals or clinicians, and there's certainly something to be said and the respect given to a clinician. On the other hand, there's so much we can do, and you've had a huge impact on the world that we'll talk about with some of the movements that started just from simple kindness, and you've written a book and you have a podcast now, the Big Fucking Feelings podcast. I don't really get to swear that often, but I can't not.
We're going to allow it for this session.
It's not off brand. It's the title.
Are we bleeping things or?
No, but maybe this is the fucking boost today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that.
Yeah, let's just go with it. No. So we do two things to kick off. The virtual hug and the shameless plug. So the virtual hug is tell us somebody or something you're grateful for today.
Oh my gosh. I'm grateful for my daughter. She's 13 and she just recently decided that I'm cool to hang out with again.
That's so sweet.
So I feel like I'm one of the coolest people on the planet when she's hanging out with me, because it's just like very rare. It's like a butterfly landing on you.
Oh.
And yesterday she spent a good 6 hours with me, and that I was just like, my tank is so full right now.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is
So
awesome.
sweet.
Yeah.
And how blessed she is to have a mom that is so learned up on mental health. And
I mean, I hope so. I'm really trying. I keep saying I know that I'm going to mess up in ways that my family did differently, maybe the pendulum swings too far or something. I'm trying to be very aware of that, but it's also just so awesome to see her have her own opinions and be her own person and make her own mistakes and try new things and do all of that. And so motherhood, right?
Yeah.
Parenting, really.
Parenthood. I have a 9-year-old, and I would step in front of a train right now. I mean, it's like I would do anything for her, and she is a delight. What was you walked through a valley, though, it sounds like. What was there like years or months when she thought maybe you weren't as cool as you are now, and she came to realize, like, what was that like?
I think just, entering middle school, the 6th grade year was just a bit tricky. She's trying new things and trying to find her voice and where she fits in this group of new people. And I wasn't cool enough to even say anything, just get away. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Just drop me off. And I'm not going to reply if you say you love me, and that's fine. So you kind of just have to let them go through that, right? It's a bit of a process.
And you still say you love her.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's in you,
and she'd just say, all right.
All right. Hey, that's.
And even in the phase when she didn't say she loved you, she still loved you.
Oh, for sure. I was like, I know you love me. And
Yes,
she'd smile. I'm like, it's cool to say you love your mom.
Oh, well, I'm not there yet. My 9-year-old is, everybody's different, but this is like pretty sweet time. Like it's, we get to play, but she's also kind of self-sufficient. And so we spend a lot of time together. But I know teenage years are tricky. I mean, there's all sorts of chemicals and friendship relationships and the complexities that add to it. So I'm trying to learn from you right now in this moment. I'm trying to glean the wisdom.
I'm trying to learn from you both.
I think the biggest thing is just learning to say you're sorry when you mess up. Just really owning that. Hey, I'm stressed out today and I'm grouchy and I'm sorry. That's just how I'm feeling right now, and it's not about you. I think that helps. I didn't mean to cut you off, though.
Oh, no, I was going to say I'm learning from you both, because I hope one day when I have kids, I can be that aware, be able to help them,
I think you will, because you're sitting here right now.
Yeah.
So that's all signs point to you'll be successful in
I
anything.
hope so.
I would put a lot of money on the bet that you are going to be a fabulous mom.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Partly because, just what Ashley said, you're real. You're really real about, hey, this is how I am. This is who I am. I'm not putting on pretenses. I think it's there's a quote I like. There's 2 quotes I like. One is the good mother fails. So there is an aspect to these birds leaving the nest where you don't necessarily do what you did when they were 4 or 3. That's their goal is to become future adults. But it's not the crime, it's the cover up is another one I like.
Ooh,
it's not the problem that we have our feelings. It's that we tell them, oh, it's okay. And then we signal to them that your innate sort of ability to read a situation is wrong because the parent or the the adult in the room, the enforcer, is telling you something that you know is not true, but you believe it as a truth. And then it gets muddy.
Yep. That's true. Just the realness. It's fortunate that we're able to sit here and share that. Like, I don't know if even 6 years ago I would have been like, yeah, I mess up. Like, nice. I would have been like, I'm a perfectionist. I don't tell you that I mess up.
Well, we're still growing. I mean, you know, I read a lot of Carl Jung, and he talks a lot about how we have a kid inside us. Like, like there is a 4-year-old Steve inside me all the time, you know, as much as I'm in my 40s, Steve, you know, and that's not something to disregard, you know, it's not something to necessarily hide. Give us your shameless plug. Tell us about the work you're doing or what you're building.
Shameless plug. Oh, well, I've got this podcast called the Big Fucking Feelings Podcast with my BFF, Jenna Von Oy, from the show Blossom. If you guys remember that show, that was her big break, but she's done many wonderful things since then, and she's a writer, and we connected over Motherhood, and like 7 years later, we just decided a podcast was necessary. So that, and then I wrote a book that you mentioned, Maybe We're All Diamonds. It's more of a memoir that I wrote for healing for myself, and then a few friends encouraged me to potentially share that because the story was meaningful to them, and so I self-published, and now I'm working on a 3-part psychological thriller. So
wow.
I don't know how that happens, but here we are.
I didn't know you were going to say that.
That's not what I thought.
I didn't either.
I
didn't either. Yeah,
I need to read it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's a workplace psychological thriller. So
okay.
Cool. Yeah.
I have follow-up questions. I mean, for one, you're really touching on some symbolism that's like very important to my life. This is maybe just like anecdotal, the diamonds and the butterflies and things like that. But who was your first guest on, like, when you're like, okay, we're launching a podcast? Did you try to shoot for the moon, or was it like, hey, this is just us introducing the concept? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's just us introducing the concept for the first probably 8 episodes, and then we start moving into guests. And Jenna's so amazing and has so many wonderful friends that have done really cool things. So we're starting with her friends, and we'll move into mine who have also done some really cool things. And yeah, I think it's just going to be wonderful. We're talking to some psychologists, some Instagram influencers and creators around all kinds of things. But there's this one guy, I can't remember his handle right now, but he just trains squirrels in his backyard, and he's my dream guest. His name is Derek or something.
Say more.
Yeah, they're squirrels.
And is he in your psychological thriller?
No, but maybe I should write that.
Sounds like he might be.
Yeah.
He might be like the whole key to the whole thing.
You never know.
So is each episode just a specific topic, or because you were mentioning that it's not specific to mental health, but it kind of all touches on mental health?
Well, our next episode 5, I believe, is embarrassing moments and empanadas. Our whole thing is like, we have this shtick where like we have to do a toast at some point to celebrate something that we're excited about, or just our guest is promoting. So when you do the shameless plug here, we do the toast, and it's like, what are you promoting right now? And you can toast it with anything from non-flavored boring water or, you know, a fuzzy sock, which we've done. So it's just kind of get creative with what we toast with and give people an opportunity to celebrate.
Love it. Can we toast? Can we toast?
Yeah.
Shall we toast?
Yeah, let's toast
Can
to
I, with my tiny
the BFF with your BFF and to you landing the squirrel guy.
Oh, you'll get him.
Derek, if you're listening, call me.
Derek, if you're out there. You have a bunch of followers. You have like, 80,000 followers on your personal account?
Isn't that crazy? If 80,000 people showed up at my house, I would pass out.
That is crazy to think about. When it's like, that is a lot of people.
If 100 people showed up at my house, I would pass. I would be like, there's no room for you.
It would be a fire
no
hazard.
room in the inn.
But what an awesome place to be in, to have a voice and talk on important stuff and feelings. So
yeah, I think that's
for
the
you.
goal too, is just like, this is a space where people can feel like someone else sees them and that someone else gets what they're going through. And really, if you know me, then you know that the things that I'm posting are things that I've either recently dealt with and feel safe enough now to like talk about them or joke about them, because really it's all just dark humor. That's all it is for me. And encouragement. Dark humor and encouragement. And those two things really go well together in my world. So that's what that space is for.
How do you describe the aesthetic of your personal feed? Because if you just look at it from afar, you know, I'm always trying to like polish and craft our feed, and yours
I
is.
was browsing. It's very entertaining.
Is it?
Your
Yeah.
Instagram, yes.
Yeah. It's
Very
like-
intriguing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But it's almost meme driven.
It is now. Yeah. It used to be more, when I first got started ages ago, like 2009 is when I started doing Love Everywhere. And it was these beautiful cards that were calligraphy and handwritten encouragement. And a lot of times I would just write on them, like, I'm having a really hard day. What is the truth about myself that I need to hear right now? And I would write that. And then I would keep it somewhere that I could see it, kind of like Giving Keys style. I didn't know about the Giving Keys back then, but I just wanted to see something that would encourage me every single day to help me get through the next hour, the next moment. Yeah. And so I did that. And then once I didn't need it anymore, I would take it with me to the grocery store, the coffee shop, or the library self-help section was my favorite because they made great bookmarks. And it was like, oh, you think you need to work on this? Like, let me tell you what you really need to work on. It's just your heart and accepting yourself and doing the work of like self-love.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, it was so fun to be able to do that. And so that Instagram feed and how the community was built was really just posting a picture of me holding the card wherever I was and then where I left it. And we got to grow a beautiful community out of it. I had ambassadors that were located all over the world. I mean, Costa Rica, the Philippines, New Zealand. There were people everywhere that participated. And we had 25 of them that were like brand ambassadors that would help me to spread love and kindness in places that my feet still have not touched soil there. So that's so cool, right? Like the Great Wall of China. I had a card that made it to the Great Wall of China, one that went to the Taj Mahal, and people just loved it. Like it was the most fun. And since then, I still do the cards. I'll always do the cards. I will be the lady that's 120 years old with like a purse full of just papers with like little notes on them, just like handing them out like, here, dearie, like you look like you
There's
need
something
this.
so sweet about having something in person that like actual,
It's tangible,
and not
like,
just like
yes.
an email or a text or anything.
Yeah. So I'll always do that. But somehow through the course of like 2020 and the COVID situation and everybody working from home, it turned into like memes. And that's where we've landed. So
Yeah, I'm a fervent believer in the unlimited or almost unlimited energy we can unleash when we're working from our core goodness and our creativity out, you know, and the things like you have ripples to China and a collaboration with Reebok, right? Where they put it in like 200,000 boxes or something?
Those little cards, they made it into 200,000 sneaker boxes globally in 2019 for International Women's Day. It was a huge blessing to me to have that collaboration. I came from a fashion design background, and then when I had kids, we moved here to Nashville where I didn't know anyone, and loneliness and all of that set in, and then Love Everywhere really helped carry me through those like early days of motherhood where I felt like I know I have purpose in raising a human being, but also I've lost myself. And so that helped me to like recalibrate my creative juices, I guess. And then Reebok just happened to notice and very serendipitously reached out to me, and it gave my heart a lot of joy to be able to take like, oh, I love fashion, and oh, I love encouraging people, and this is like the perfect storm of amazingness. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of what we were trying to do with the mental health advocate t-shirts too, is like it's cute to like give it out with like a little personal note. It makes like so much a difference when there's something like hand done in there or just handmade. Is so sweet.
Yeah, you did that at the conference this last year. There's one like, if you're looking for a sign, this is it. You know, like these.
Yeah, like totally vague things.
Totally memorable.
But also so enough for someone to read it and like project on it and be like, wow, that was just what I needed to hear.
It is though, but people need that. Like they need that. Oh my God, I'm not sure that I plan to say this, but I recently joined a cult for 30 days.
Okay.
Tell us
Not
more.
voluntarily.
Once again.
Do we need to take a break and come back?
No,
This
no.
could be a long
yes,
one.
yes. We're taking a great idea. Okay. We're taking a break. Listen to this quick ad because you
And
and
meditate
I,
on this.
we have to hear more. We'll be right back. At Turn Productions, we craft experiences that connect, engage, and inspire. They feed the mind, they fill the heart, and they fuel connectivity. From dynamic conferences to powerful podcasts, we bring ideas to life through our proven process of planning, production, and promotion. So your audience doesn't just listen, they remember. Ready to make an impact? Let's build something unforgettable together. Visit turn.productions to get started. Okay, we are back from that cliffhanger about Ashley joining a cult for 30 days, and tell us all.
Oh my God. I think I didn't mean to join a cult. I work in marketing and social media.
So do we.
This is going in not the direction
I
I
work
thought.
in marketing and social media.
Accidentally joined.
Yes, accidentally.
So it wasn't intentional. It's not
No.
like, where do you sign up for this
No,
thing?
no,
You
no.
just tell us.
She was
Yeah.
Googling how to join marketing cults.
Definitely needed to meet the marketing Jesus. Like that was on my list of things for my bucket list for sure.
Okay.
A dear friend of mine professionally recommended me for a job consulting. And I thought, I looked at this person's page and I thought, well, I agree with stepping into your feminine energy and all of that. Why not? Okay. And I can help him, and he's got 2 million followers, and I can totally do that. And we were strategizing and it was fine. But once I got behind the curtain, I started seeing things that I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But I was already 2 weeks in, and he had a retreat that I was required to go to because I needed to collect video footage, and he was telling me your mind's going to be blown when you see what we do. It's going to totally blow your mind. And it did, but not in the way he probably wanted it to.
Okay.
So
Tell us more about the retreat. What?
well,
yeah,
they
tell us
wouldn't
what
really
happened there.
talk much about it. I didn't get a lot of information on the front end.
Okay.
And so when I got there, I was a little apprehensive. It was at this hotel in Austin, Texas, and they do 8 of them a year. And he's a life coach. And
How
so
many people are there?
pay him. At this particular one that I went to, there were about 750 people,
No way.
which is a lot of people. And
Yeah.
you don't realize that until they're all in one room meditating together. And things just happened that I was unprepared for. And I'm sitting on my computer trying to work for this very high demand person who's literally yelling my name as he's giving his sessions. Make sure we clip that. Make sure we clip that. And this is good. Make sure. And yelling at me across the way. But he sat. This is when I really had the problem. And I think you guys will also raise an eyebrow. The first session with these people, he came out on stage and sat in a chair and said, this weekend right here is better than 30 years of therapy. And he's not licensed or trained in any certain way at all. But to say that to people and then to go on and recommend that they throw away their medication, that they don't need it, and to offer sexual trauma healing and things like that, I felt it was very irresponsible because what I saw was people hurting, opening up their traumas, and then being left with no real guidance or care. And everyone just wanted a touch point. They wanted someone from his staff to come and sit with them and spend time. And so I ended up doing a lot of emotional work that weekend because I'm interviewing people about their life change transformations with this person at this weekend. And he wanted all of these emotional stories. But how do you hold space for people who are like, yeah, I was sexually abused when I was 3 years old and all of this stuff came up about it. And now this is how I feel like I need to move forward.
Do you think people went to that wanting a quick fix?
I think
because if they had that in their mind of in 2 days I'm going to be cured of.
Yeah, I don't
30
know if
days of
it's
therapy?
advertised that it's going to cure you of things, but he definitely projected a lot of that onto them as he had them in his care for those few days. And
Wow. Well, we were talking about this earlier of like, you have to be very careful of where you get your information from, because there is so much info out there, especially around mental health, that like, just to do your research and make sure that you're getting info from people that, again, like we said, you don't have to be a total mental health professional, but you can be well read on something. And like, it sounds like they needed to understand that opening up all those issues is going to leave people hurting more when they leave if they're not being taken care of.
I felt very, very conflicted about being there. So it didn't last long. Once I realized what was happening, I got myself home, and then I think all of that like just opened my body up to like feeling the weight of 750 people in a room screaming. And I felt that like in those moments, people are just lonely and they want a place to feel like they belong and that they're okay to feel their feelings. And I think that's what he was offering. And that was what was appealing about it. But it was a striking contrast for me working with him behind the scenes to hear him say to me, I want to win at all costs. I want to be the biggest thing. I want to be a household name. I want this. I want that. And I need to have at least 250,000 views on every single post that I'm putting out. And if we can't get there, then we can't work together. But then 20 minutes later, be on stage saying, you shouldn't be worried about your likes. You shouldn't be worried about what you look like on social media. You shouldn't be this. You shouldn't be that. I'm not. But I'm looking at him thinking, yes, you are, sir. Like, that's not... Like, that wasn't authentic for me, and I can't do that kind of lack of integrity.
That's literally like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain type thing.
It was. Like, and
so there's, go ahead.
I mean, it brings up so many things of like, okay, being in mental health, and like, so I do social media for MHA, and like walking that line of like, yes, I'm looking at our analytics and our likes and seeing what we get, but also like, it doesn't matter really if you're engaging the right people, and like just making sure your focus isn't on like hurting people, because social media can be addictive. So putting out content that's helpful but not like making the problem worse. And I don't know if you could probably speak to that with your social media, of how it's like maybe affects your life as well.
I think you have to be so careful about how you engage with other people's content, and a lot of times I just kind of don't anymore. I find that it's a lot better for me if I keep track of like the things that are trending for clients, but when it comes to my own personal stuff, I just don't. And the things that I post personally or on Love Everywhere, it's stuff that like brings me joy or makes me feel something. And I'm not posting necessarily for other people in the sense of like, I want attention or to like be the next Martha Stewart of whatever. I think it's more just like, what do I want to say to myself? What do I want to celebrate or process or make fun of the fact that like I'm so sick of being called resilient? Like, who wants to be called resilient 8,000 times? And you're like, okay, I get the message. I'm strong. Let's move on. Move to the next thing and let me sit in my garden that's blooming.
Yeah.
But instead, I think a lot of us can get caught up in the comparison game, and not just on social, like in life in general. You think you should be at a certain stage of life and you're not there yet, so you beat yourself up. And I think if we do a better job of looking at our hearts and loving ourselves and saying, this is where I am, this is who I am, and like, if you don't like yourself in that picture, guess what? That's just what you looked like at that moment, and it's just one moment. Move on.
Well, it sounds like your heart's in the right place too, of like when you're putting out social media, it's for the betterment of the people around you and you sharing your wisdom, as opposed to this cult. Sounds like it was more about like celebrity, like wanting the focus on them and just trying to be a celebrity. And that's,
that definitely,
that's the toxic part.
It definitely felt that way. I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am at this point.
Maybe my biggest concern for that is that, okay, you have these people in a very vulnerable spot, and then you're capturing their stories, like right then. That's potentially very icky to me. I mean, and there is a loneliness problem, and loneliness is connected to all sorts of benefits in life and mental health and all of that. And it is magic when you can give that space to yourself and say, yeah, I'm somebody worth loving myself. And then it's mind blowing when you find that person or people who say, you can be you. Like, you don't have to cover up, you know. But we also can have our privacy where maybe I'm not quite ready. And to do it in that fervor is, it's very potentially kind of, I don't know quite the word.
It's damaging. It's just damaging.
It's capitalizing on something.
When you are in a room with 750 people and you stand up with a microphone and tell everybody in detail your traumas that you've just reopened, and then you get sent back home with no follow-up, that's damaging. That's damaging and dangerous.
Yeah, they see that in like addiction treatment, you know, like you get 28 days of health insurance covered treatment or care. And the number one, I think, factor for outcomes being positive is how much time that program stays with you, or some kind of transition program, because we can't just change overnight. We can't just even like, you know.
Yeah, it's the maintenance. I mean, anything you do has to be maintenance to keep it up. So
yeah.
Anyway, it was a very unpleasant job, and I'm glad that that's over.
I was gonna say, we're making sure you're safe and you're out of it. Are you?
Oh no, totally out of it.
Okay, great.
It worked out.
I felt like
really
that needed
nicely.
to be asked.
No, I'm saying thank you.
Let's talk quickly about the process of writing a book. This is a selfish question. That's a very interesting question to me. I want to do that someday. I will do that someday.
You
I think.
should do that. Definitely.
What was it like for you compared to what you thought it might be?
Well, I thought I'd be like in a very exotic location, typing away on my computer, and take a good week and knock it out and feel amazing, and like have a like fancy drink or some coffee, and like I really romanticized that idea.
That sounds wonderful.
It does, doesn't it?
That
like,
didn't happen.
I thought like I'll go and be isolated, and I'll just write this, and it'll be awesome.
Did you go somewhere?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not.
It sounded like you
Did
may
you
have
plan
gone.
it out, or did it just like the time hit you where you felt creative
It just
and you were
didn't
ready
work
to go?
out. As a single mom, it just didn't work out that way. Memoir writing is different than fiction writing, which I'm learning now. Fiction writing is more fun, and you get to do some research and like explore new topics and new characters and embellish small truths and things like that. Memoir is kind of a gutting process, because I found that you're reliving all of the
You're unpacking
hurt
the trauma.
But you're doing it from a healed place, but you feel for the person that you used to be. And so I felt most days I was like, most of the writing was me laying on the floor crying.
Oh.
And then I'd be like, okay, I can do this. And then I'd go and knock out another chapter. And it was difficult, but it was beautiful and really healing. And I didn't know that I was writing a book at that time. I mean, I thought it might be, but it was more of a, is this for me or is this for others? And I didn't know that it was for others until it was fully done.
So yeah, sometimes fiction feels more or has more truth in it than nonfiction or a memoir. Did you feel at all disconnected from, you said this person you were writing about, did it kind of feel like you're disconnected from who you were writing about?
I think so, because I had grown so much. I had a really like great conditioning for people pleasing and always doing the right thing and making sure I was perfect in everything, and my side of the street's always clean, and really that person wasn't me. It was who I thought everyone wanted me to be. And so writing about her as myself was very interesting. There was a lot of compassion that came from looking at myself through that lens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does sound exhausting to have to like, you don't think about it, but reliving and actually explaining it and going through the details. You probably had some thoughts that you didn't even think that you remembered, that you, as you're writing it, you're remembering and reliving all that. And
yeah, it was crazy too how I think this is when I really understood so much of what we go through is like buried so deep. And it was like, as I started a sentence, more would just start
So
pouring
much
out
more.
of this like endless cup. Like
Yes.
just, yeah.
All the details. Like I do that when I write my dreams.
Yeah.
I'll try to capture these ideas that are in my mind, and then like I'm overwhelmed with how many details come out. And Ernest Hemingway said something to the effect of like, writing is easy. You just sit down at the typewriter and bleed. But it's the amount of information that is actually in there that's when it comes out, like the pipes are clogged a little bit, and we have to get it out.
Yeah. I think giving, like, if you're writing for healing or to process, giving yourself that space to just like stare out the window and look at nothing and think of nothing and really kind of just like let something come to you and then go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's where I found myself. It was like, I'm crying, I'm staring, and sometimes I'm typing.
And how did you care for yourself after when you were done writing? Like once that was all dumped out, like how did you care for yourself mentally? That's when I started my anxiety walking. And at one point I was walking like 11 miles a day because I was just so That's a lot.
anxious. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's too much. It's too much. No one should walk that much that often.
You did.
I did, and it was good for my heart. And
Yeah.
I did a lot of like audio recordings, very like Matthew McConaughey style. Like I just talk to myself.
A lot of
like,
Lincoln car commercials.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long would that take you? Or would you do it all at once or just kind of walk when you felt?
Sporadically. It wasn't
Okay.
all in one. It wasn't often that I would knock out 11 miles all at once, but like maybe 5 miles, and then I'd come back and work a little more, and then I'd go another 5 miles, and then 6 miles or something.
Well,
so.
this is the thing, like, and we were talking about this earlier, which is, okay, maybe one or maybe X number of people in that room of 750, that was exactly what they wanted and needed at that moment. I can't say that's not the case. I don't know that to be true. I don't know that we have the outcomes to support that clinically. But your 11 miles might have been exactly what you need, and it might be okay or best for other people. But the more I meet people, like you meet one person and you meet one person, and it's typically yourself or at the same time somebody totally different than anybody else you've ever met in the world.
Yeah. But we always just see ourselves in who we're speaking with anyways. So you are a reflection of me just as I am of you right now in this moment.
Your ring game is stronger, but yes.
I mean,
Otherwise,
Take note.
We're very identical.
Well, I mean, humans are such like social creatures that you kind of like bounce ideas off of each other. And yeah, I don't know if I can speak from like that people pleasing aspect of like sometimes when you're in a room with people, you're trying to be what you think people like want you to be, as opposed to being true to yourself in that. And I mean, going on those walks, like that's some time to like spend time with you and figure out who you are so that you can be that around other people.
well, just being okay with like, I'm the girl out alone walking, even like there was a level of safety that I needed to get through even as a woman, because who goes walking by herself like that and like lives to see tomorrow?
Did you
for
have
the
a
most
route
part.
that you would take? Do you
Yeah,
have like
my neighborhood is very safe, and it's along the Cumberland River here in town, and it butts up to a park that I walk a mile, and then I'm in the park, and I walk a loop, and then I come back, and my street is beautiful,
Is
and
that
I
up where
know
Shelby
all the
Park
people.
is?
Yes,
It's so
yes.
beautiful over there.
It's
Wow.
awesome. I just love
Yeah.
it so much. But I mean, my neighbors started to recognize me. Like I didn't realize that I was like the local girl walking, but like I was at a Mexican restaurant with some friends, and some lady came up. She's like, "Oh my God, you're the flannel girl. You're the walking flannel girl." Because I always had a flannel around my waist in case I got cold. I was like, "Oh, I'm the flannel girl."
I love that. I always want to know what my neighbors label me as.
Yeah.
They're like, there's tie-dye shirt guy again.
Well, it is sweet to know that
Yeah.
people recognize you and are looking out for you too.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
kind of a safety in that of like,
Oh, for
people-
sure.
people
and,
see you.
And getting out and doing that was like, I felt that community, like waving at people, or like even if I'm crying and walking, they're like, "You having a good day?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." just learning to be myself and feel how I felt in those moments. It was helpful.
What year did you write that book?
It was published in 2022.
Okay. And where
2023, sorry.
2023. And
I wrote in 22.
Where did you write it? Physically? In your house?
In my house.
Not Fiji?
Not Fiji.
Yeah.
It was like, get my kids to bed and write until 1 or 2 in the morning
Good
at my
for
dining
you.
room table.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to watch your podcast. I'm sorry. I don't know how I didn't see it ahead of time, but you already have episodes that are live, and good for fucking you for doing that. That was a reference to the podcast. One last thing before we have to go. Unfortunately, this has been a delight. Like
Really?
Like
So sweet.
such a fun conversation. Fascinating. Let's do your boost. Let's do, like, what are you doing these days to kind of take care of your own self-care, awareness and growth? What are you doing?
Great question. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of walking still, but I've kind of hacked the system for my anxiety. So I run now, which is also very fun. I didn't think I was a runner, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm owning
Wow.
that and learning
Nice.
to accept that I am a runner, not just like somebody who sometimes jogs or whatever. Like I actually run, and that feels good. So that's been helpful. And what else? Just kind of talking to friends, and I go to therapy, very important therapy. So yeah, all the things.
And that is our conversation with Ashley Robyn. And thanks for listening.